Oh, hello, everybody. Student forecast is Stephen Boyle. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Well, not much going on today except major rains down south. Gonna keep our eyes on that. That could definitely cause some serious issues for folks who live in Florida. Dry weather going on across portions, dry and windy weather, also chilly weather going on across portions of the Northeast. Definitely feels like winter out there. But why do we have red flag warnings out there? Well, the reason why is we have a dry ground. We also have the winds. Though all those things combined together could make way for some fire hazards. So just watch out. Be vigilant. But nothing major. Winter weather advisory. People in Oklahoma, and not only in Oklahoma, but even here into the Northeast, they're shaking their heads. They're like, what's up with this winter? When is this winter gonna end? Well, it's looking like it'll be ending starting tomorrow. Folks who live here in Oklahoma, you don't need to worry about this coating of snow or ice that you're gonna be getting, because that's gonna be melting away probably tomorrow, maybe even tonight. It's gonna melt away very quickly, and by next week, you could probably be reaching near 80 degrees into some of these areas. So don't worry about that whatsoever. You're well on the way to see a nice warm streak. So don't even worry. However, areas that could see some good snows are up into these regions. Again, that's it. All right. Euro is trying to go ahead and bring in for the end of next week, a major winter storm for these guys. Do not buy it. One single bit at all. I mean, if the GFS starts trending in that direction, maybe, but well, we'll get to it in just a few minutes. I just cannot buy a major snowstorm on the East Coast next week, especially with the pattern that we're going to be in next week. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, we have this storm. All right, this is our major storm. Oh, I forgot to show you the radar. Here is the rains. All right, and here is the lake effect snow into portions of New York. Also, some storms starting to fire up into Florida. But basically, the reason why I wanted to show you this is this major thing. And if you look kind of closely, it looks like an eye is trying to develop somewhere right in here. But I mean, we'll see what happens. But this thing is getting kind of interesting here. But for the most part, though, here is our satellite imagery, and you can see major convection going on. All right, now what we're gonna have to kind of watch this. All right, this could skate or like I said, skirt portions of central Jersey, but for the most part, gonna miss the Northeast. Winds of chill today here into the Northeast, though, definitely, like I said at the beginning here. But again, this storm in here is basically our main driving factor, and then there's this thing back out in here, which may eventually produce some problems for portions of the Midwest. We'll have to sort of see what happens with that. That may kind of form into a major frontal system and do some severe weather. We'll maybe have to do a little bit of a severe weather dance into the Midwest coming in for next week. So here we go. All right. So basically, there's our storm, and you can see that basically goes south. And again, we get a little bit of a front that tries to form. That's kind of a little piece of energy. Basically, most of the energy, though, stays back out in here. We get a little bit of energy that kind of wants to come its way through. But again, this is maybe a very weak front, but for the most part, this is not going to tap into enough cold air for this thing to really cool things down dramatically. This high pressure that we have down in here is much, 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 much stronger than this little thing in here. So for the most part, this thing will just move through and basically do nothing. That's really what it'll do. And if we have this warm air moving in, could give us a scattered shower or thunderstorm. All right, that's the NAM. Now, finally, well, not finally, but let's look at the euro. Now, again, the euro. Let me just tell you something. The euro, in my opinion, is pretty much. I'm thinking it's basically on steroids here, because look at this. Okay, we have this little frontal system. We have this little front that moves in here. All right. Now notice how we get like we still have some warm air coming in, but now we get a flow coming out of the north. Okay. What's interesting here is that midweek next week, we're going to have a little bit of a low pressure area that starts to develop. All right. Now, the difference here is that the euro, even though it has the southeastern ridge, it's sort of being force. There's more of a force from this thing down in here, or up in here, which is not being indicated by the models. All right, the way I can tell, there's an area of high pressure in here. All right, and this is kind of remember, clockwise flow. Okay, so basically you're getting winds kind of coming down like this. Okay, and we have some chilly air coming into the northeast. All right. Now, normally this little high up in here wouldn't be doing anything, but there's a secondary high in here, and it's a really complicated situation. We have another high down in here. All right. Now, my thoughts here is that this high in here is going to basically beat everything and keep everything bottled up in the north. All right. I do not think that we get a situation like this, and what I do end up seeing is a situation like this. We get a front, and again, we get a low pressure system in here, and with that being said, this high is going to be further north than what is being indicated. All right, we're gonna get a low pressure system at least in here. We're gonna get a nice cold front. We're gonna have warm air ahead of it. Okay, we're gonna have cold air surging in behind this thing, warm air ahead of it. Okay, so that's basically what I'm looking at here. All right. But the way that the euro shows it, it does show a front, but it's kind of what happens here is you get some storms down in here, and then what ends up happening is we end up seeing a surface reflection forming in the southeast, and watch how this thing really blows up. And this is where the euro shows a major snowstorm. All right. Why? Because we have cool air kind of coming on in here. Okay, we have cool air, especially on the northwestern quadrant of the storm. On this this particular quadrant. Okay, and basically, with that being said, and with lows having counterclockwise flow, you have this, and you also have the colder air that's already coming in place, so therefore that makes for even colder conditions. Now, again, the reason why I don't believe it, and the reason why I don't buy it, isn't because of the general, the way how this is being presented. It's not like, oh, this low pressure is, wrong. It's just I don't think that there will be a low pressure that forms like this and comes up the coast. Nor do I believe that there will be a trough in the east. Nor do I believe that temperatures would even be cold enough to support snow. So basically, normally I don't do this, but I'm throwing the euro away. All right. Normally it's the other way around, and I'm throwing the GFS out. But right now, it just doesn't make sense to me. Here is that storm moving through, so the GFS is much further south, because the GFS was originally north with this storm. All right, so here's that little storm system here that's going to be coming through. Nothing really major, like I said. All right, and notice how that moves mainly north, and maybe, again, a possible shower, thunderstorm, maybe something like that. Nothing severe, but, here is our area of high pressure. Okay, you can definitely see the flow coming in out of the south and east. Okay. All right, so therefore, and we still see some very warm conditions. Now, here's what I'm talking about. We have that low that forms. Now, what's interesting here is we have a low in here, and we have a low in here. All right, we have two low pressures. All right, and watch how the low pressure in the north extends. Okay, that's the frontal system forming. And basically what this means is you have a very strong, warm flow ahead. Very chilly air behind this front. Okay, we have a low in here. Basically, we have warm air in here. Our warm front is here. All right, so basically, this is a perfect setup for severe weather. And this would not be just limited to the Midwest. This would extend into the East as well. All right, this would include the major cities. Why? Because temperatures ahead of this front are almost near 70 degrees, if not at times near 80. All right, so we're not talking about, chilly weather here. All right, now what's interesting here is notice how we have a little bit of a trough behind this front. It's not a major trough. All right, a major trough would be a trough that would dig down like this, and you would see a major cold pool of air kind of surging down. But the reason why we're not seeing that is we kind of have some warmer air kind of influxing in from the south and southwest into these areas. We have a little bit of high pressure into this area. So basically there's not really a big trough here. All right, and we actually have an area of high pressure forming out in here, and that's also adding into some of the reasons why we're not going to be really talking about a major cool down. All right, and we have a major high that, I mean, you're really talking about a very major high that's starting to form in here behind this system. So the system is exiting out. We are going to get some cooler air behind this, but it's not going to be like, oh my god, a major cool down, 30-degree weather. It'll probably be more, instead of 80s, maybe 60s, or maybe mid-50s, something like that. But guess what? Things get warm once again, all right? So after that front moves through, we get warm once again, and it could even be warmer than this first warm-up. Our second warm-up comes the third week of April. All right, we get this. Now this would be a serious severe weather outbreak. We're getting a very serious influx of warm air ahead of this front, a serious cold air behind this. Okay, we have a nice high back out in here, so we're still getting the warm air coming up into northern, as far north as northern New England. Okay, and then this moves through, bringing severe weather potentially for a good chunk of the country. But guess what? Things are flattening out again. Why? Because there's high pressure building in here. This high pressure in here is strong. All right, so therefore we still get this warm air coming in. All right, is this a very believable situation for me? Yes. The Euro was originally showing this. It was originally showing a warmer pattern. The Euro has just started pointing out a potential snowstorm, which to me, it's just out of sorts right now. To me, it just does not even seem even slightly possible at this particular point. Is it something to watch? Yes. But do I think that we have a higher chance of severe weather? Yes, I do. So here's what it's looking like according to the GFS. Here's your temperatures tomorrow. Temperatures rising closer into the 50s to near 60 degrees. All right. And then, of course, we have temperatures rising into the mid-50s yet again with near 60 degrees. So there you go. All right. And again, we have 70s here in here. So it's pretty warm. All right, you can see that warm air, and so those folks who were saying, "Oh, we're getting snow today," don't worry. Don't even worry if you live into these areas. This is nearly 85-degree weather, so this little bit of innocuous, snow is gonna be long forgotten, because we have bigger and better things to be thinking about. Again, there could be a little bit of cloudiness into portions of the northeast, keeping temperatures down on Saturday. But even still, I mean, 50 to 60 degrees is still pretty nice. Mid-Atlantic could be getting near 65, 70 degrees, so looking pretty nice. Then we get into Sunday, and again, it could be on the cool side. We do have a little bit of a system that could be moving through, but generally 50s and 60s. Then we work our way along through, and you can see really things start getting quite warm. And look at the warm air down in Texas, too. I mean, this is well over 100 degrees. I mean, down south we have 75 to 85 degrees. I mean, things are getting warm even here in the northeast, generally as low as 60 degrees up to 70, 75 degrees. I mean, we have 75 to 80 coming up as far north as South Jersey. So we're really getting pretty warm here, all right? And notice how we have remember, we have a flow coming out of the south and southwest. And notice how warm these temperatures are down in here. At least 85 degrees. I mean, some of these temperatures in here are over 115 degrees, nearing 125 degrees. So this is some serious warm that's really influxing into portions of the country. All right. Now, we work our way on through. All right, and notice it's pretty warm next Tuesday. We again have that little brief front. All right. We do have that front right in here. Okay, but you can see still very warm temperatures, at least 60 degrees through a good chunk of the region. All right, moving on. All right, we get very warm. I mean, look at next Wednesday. That's some serious warm weather. I mean, we're talking 75 degrees for a good chunk of the region. This is some very serious stuff. I mean, you're talking about coming down here into Florida, or I mean, you're talking about over 85 degrees or over 80 degrees. Moving on here, you can see that we really warm up here. And again, this is 7 in the morning, mind you. These 55 to 60 degree temperatures, so you're waking up to that. All right. Remember, you're waking up to this. This is not high temperatures. This is morning temperatures. That's almost summertime temperature in the morning. All right. Frontal system, though. All right. So it is going to cool down behind this. All right. And you'll notice that 7 p.m. we're still on the warm side. And then you can see this front moves through and we get some cooler weather. But it's not. Look at lows. Look at lows across most of the major cities. The I-95 corridor above freezing. All the below freezing lows are back out in here, and even that isn't that impressive. I mean, we're not talking about like, oh my god, this is absolutely bitter cold. I mean, we're not. Some areas may be as low as 25, but for the most part, around freezing. It's around 7 p.m. and again, you can see, chilly. Cool, seasonably cool. All right, but then our influx of warm comes back. Okay, notice how we have at 7 p.m. We have 45, 50, maybe even 55 degree temperatures. And then notice how it just continues to stay warm, and notice how it just gets warmer and warmer and warmer. Notice how, look at this. This is just incredible. 60 to 65 degree temperatures, 7 in the morning. That is some serious warm weather. I'm telling you, that's summertime weather in the morning. This is just incredible stuff here. So, what is this all signifying? A very warm pattern. Do I believe the Euro and its cold weather and snow? Absolutely not. All right. Notice the cold weather back out in here. This is very interesting. Notice the cold weather back out in here. Notice some of these areas getting like into the teens. Notice how portions, these guys are going to be really fired up here down into the portions of Southern California. They're going to be getting as low as 40 to 45, maybe 50 in the morning. they're gonna be like, oh my God, they're gonna be absolutely flipping out. They're gonna need the winter coats down there. In the meantime, we're gonna be in our shorts and short sleeve shirts up in here, and maybe even some of us thinking about maybe thinking about some pool weather into these regions. It's some serious warmth. So notice how in the morning time, 40, 45 to 50 degrees all the way into the extreme northern parts of Maine. So overall, I think we can generally say a warm pattern is on the way. Definitely warm weather by the beginning of the week. Again, could it change? Yes, but right now looks like severe weather outbreak in the Midwest, moving eastward by the end of next week. Or next weekend we start talking about severe weather. We get a brief seasonable cool down, and particularly by the middle of the third week of April, we talk about extremely warm temperatures, and that will most likely continue for the good chunk of the rest of April. Maybe a little bit of a brief cool down, seasonably cool, but then warming up afterwards. So for the most part, that's what it's looking like. So therefore, it looks like to me above average spring and summer. So that's my thoughts right now. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow with another update. Take care, everyone.